The Spanish language experienced unprecedented expansion between the 16th and 19th centuries, achieving its greatest success on the American continent. But did you know that the so-called Spanish Empire, at some point in history, came to exercise control over places as remote as certain islands in Oceania? But due to various factors, Spain lost control over these territories, and the language also disappeared. We present to you 7 territories that were once part of Spain, and where Spanish is no longer spoken today. Number 1. Jamaica. Jamaica is known for being the birthplace of reggae and the land of its greatest exponent, Bob Marley. The first European to arrive on this Caribbean island was Christopher Columbus when he landed on his second voyage to the Americas in 1494. And he immediately claimed the island for the Crown of Castile. This island was known by the Taino natives as Jamaica, which means land of wood and water, and over time it was Hispanicized to the name Jamaica. Columbus returned to the island on his 4th voyage in 1503 because of a storm that sank his ships. They were forced to stay on the island for a year until they were able to leave in 1504 later. In 1509, Juan de Esquivel founded the first permanent European settlement and called it Sevilla la Nueva on the north coast of the island. Around the year 1534, the capital was established in Villa de la Vega, today known as Spanish Town. But Spanish control would last only a short time. In 1655, a British expedition with 38 ships landed on the island with 8,000 soldiers, which took a weakly protected Jamaica by surprise. Numerous conflicts were fought until Spain lost the Battle of Ocho Rios in 1657 and the Battle of Rio Nuevo in 1658. This paved the way for British colonization. Number 2, Palau. The Republic of Palau is an island nation that is part of Micronesia, which in turn is part of Oceania. It is believed that these islands were first sighted by the Spanish in 1522 and later in 1565. The archipelago became part of the Captaincy General of the Philippines after the conquest of that country by the Spanish Empire. In 1710, the first Jesuit expedition was sent from the Philippines to evangelize the place. But the mission ended up leaving the priests Jacques de Véron and Joseph Corti stranded because the ship La Trinidad was swept away from the coast by a storm. Despite attempts to rescue the priests, it was later learned that they were killed and eaten by the locals. The Palau archipelago became part of the Spanish East Indies. In 1885, the year the German Empire began to occupy some islands, a dispute broke out between Spain and the German Empire. However, after the defeat in the Spanish-American War in 1898, Spain sold the islands to the German Empire in the German-Spanish Treaty of 1899, ending decades of Spanish claims over the islands. Number 3, Federated States of Micronesia. Just to the northeast of Papua New Guinea, we find this sovereign island state. Together with Palau, it forms the so-called Caroline Islands, known for their numerous atolls and paradise beaches. The first European explorers were Portuguese, searching for the Spice Islands of Indonesia. Later in the 16th century, the Spanish arrived, who declared their sovereignty and founded the colonies of Santa Cristina de Yap and Santiago de Ponape. Later, in 1886, Governor Don Isidro Posadillo, together with a military mission, they ventured into what is now the state of Pohnpei, reaffirming the control of the region by the Spanish Empire. Despite the fact that the new administration tried to promote the Catholic faith and the Spanish language as a lingua franca, these measures were met with resistance from the locals, and the Spaniards' limited knowledge of the political geography and traditional system represented major obstacles in creating a successful colony. Just as it happened in Palau, after the decline of the Spanish Empire and its defeat in the Spanish-American War, Spain sold the territory to the German Empire in 1899. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell to get notified about new videos. Number 4. Guam. Continuing in the waters of Micronesia, we arrive at the island of Guam, which is an unincorporated territory of the United States. European rule dates back to the explorations of the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, who sighted the island in 1521 during his journey around the planet. But it was not officially claimed by Spain until 1565 by the conquistador Miguel López de Legazpi. From this date until the year 1815, the island of Guam served mainly as a supply center for the so-called Manila Galleon, which was a fleet that covered the Pacific trade route between Mexico and the Philippines. However, it can be said that Spanish colonization began around 1668 with the arrival of a mission led by Diego Luis de San Vitores and the founding of the first Catholic Church. The islands were considered part of the Spanish East Indies and the viceroyalty of New Spain. After nearly 4 centuries of Spanish rule, the United States occupied the island following Spain's defeat in the Spanish-American War in 1898. And finally, under the Treaty of Paris of that same year, Guam was transferred to the control of the United States Naval Force. Number 5. Northern Mariana Islands, along with Puerto Rico, are currently the only 2 free associated states of the United States. This archipelago of 14 islands is located between Hawaii and the Philippines, and together with Guam, they make up the so-called Mariana Islands, so they share much of their history. This means that they were also claimed by Spain. Since 1565 and in the 17th century, they were evangelized by missions led by the Jesuit Diego Luis de San Vitores. The islands were named in honor of Mariana of Austria, wife of King Philip IV of Spain. Unlike Guam, the Marianas were also sold to Germany after Spain's defeat in the Spanish-American War, just like Palau and the Federated States of Micronesia. Christopher Columbus arrived at the island of Hispaniola, present-day Haiti, in 1492, claiming the island for the crown of Castile. And soon they founded the settlement of La Navidad, which incorporated the territory into the Spanish Empire. At the beginning of the 17th century, Creole settlers promoted informal trade, which went against the monopoly that the administration intended to maintain. For this reason, Governor Antonio de Osorio ordered the depopulation of the central and western regions of the island to prevent undesirable trading practices. This was taken advantage of by pirates and French buccaneers, who gradually began to settle in the western part of the island, which was later claimed by France. This led to a series of hostilities between France and Spain, which eventually ceased, with the signing of the Treaty of Ryswick in 1697, in which Spain ceded this part of the territory to France, dividing the island in two. Number 7. Nootka Territory. Even though the Spanish Empire conquered a large part of the United States of America, we will mention a lesser-known region called Nootka Territory, which was an old territory established in Nootka Bay, now Vancouver Island, in Canada. When the Spanish, under the command of naval officer Esteban José Martinez, built the fort of San Miguel in 1789 for the defense of Santa Cruz de Nusca, which was the first Spanish settlement in British Columbia. This territory eventually came to include the present-day province of British Columbia in Canadian territory, and the states of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and part of the states of Montana and Wyoming in the United States. This area became part of the Viceroyalty of New Spain from 1789 to 1795, being governed from Mexico City. These Spanish claims led to confrontations with Great Britain, which also had interests in the area, but they ended with the Nootka Conventions of 1790, 1793, and 1794, where they agreed on a kind of bilateral coexistence. However, the newly formed United States of America acquired the rights from the Spanish through the Adams-Onis Treaty, signed in 1819, where Spain relinquished control of the territory and sparked new conflicts, now between Great Britain and the United States, which were finally resolved with the division of the area in the Oregon Treaty, where the boundary between British and United States territory was established. That's all for today. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to this channel. I also invite you to turn on the notification bell so you get reminded when there's a new video. See you soon.